Hello, my name is David Vaccaro, and I'm the Director of Learning and Innovation at Wycombe Abbey School. This is a short presentation about enriching the curriculum, by which I mean the way in which schools can provide a rich and stimulating curriculum, which is far more than just preparing pupils for examinations. Little which I say here is completely original. But one of the big surprises is that no matter how much educationalists talk about the need to create flexible and creative thinkers, most parents still regard examination results as the best indicator of a school's success. In this presentation, I will look at the sort of skills that a rich curriculum should teach and look at how this can be achieved. Before talking a little bit about the curriculum at schools, it is illustrative to look at what universities and indeed industries want. The question on this slide is one which I always used when I was an admissions tutor at St Peter's College in Oxford, interviewing applicants to read mathematics at university. What is interesting about this question is that it is almost purely a test of what one may call gumption. If you overcome the initial unfamiliarity and are prepared to dive in and give it a go, you are almost guaranteed to get the right answer. Try it and see. I gleaned a huge amount of information from this question because a shocking number of Oxford applicants, most of whom had a clean sweep of top grades, were unable to make any headway on this problem whatsoever. They relied far too heavily on trying to use a technique that had been taught, and they were unable to think on their feet. If they had simply rolled their sleeves up, it really isn't too hard to simply count. I often put this question, and others like it, onto admissions tests for schools, and the outcome is interesting. In a 16+ paper, 24% of candidates answered this question successfully, which, given that it is an Oxbridge interview problem, looks good, until you see that twice the number of 11+ candidates got it right. And I've used this problem successfully with children as young as 6. So here is a sad fact. Many children have the natural creativity taught out of them. I think there is overwhelming evidence that pupils from schools that employ a heavily didactic approach and where prep consists of completing a vast number of routine drill-style exercises can achieve good examination results at school level, but fall short of making elite universities. Heavily teacher-led approaches to teaching and learning do not provide pupils with the skills they need for the 21st century. Let us look at another popular Oxford interview question, this time for politics, philosophy and economics. Is it better to be free or safe? This is a wonderful question, and one which of course is very topical in the current pandemic. It can be approached in a huge number of different ways. An Oxford admissions tutors asking this question would not have any particular right answer in mind. What they would be looking for, much like my maths question earlier, is for a candidate who would just take the bull by the horns and be prepared to come up with an imaginative and creative way of thinking about this question. Now, an interesting problem for schools to consider is at what point should they start trying to teach the skill of flexible thinking? My answer would be that this should start as early as possible. Indeed, at Wycombe, we are looking for pupils who are able to problem solve even before they arrive at the school. The second question, in essence covering the same idea as the first, is one we have used at 11+ admissions days. I'm sure you can imagine the discrepancy between different applicants to the school. Highly prepped, over-tutored candidates often fall flat, whereas the question is normally answered best by children who approach it naturally and who make interesting and surprising connections. These best candidates are the ones that we feel have the most chance of flourishing at Wycombe. You may also be surprised that the performance in interview does not correlate particularly well with admissions test scores. This is the same phenomenon of candidates who look excellent on paper applying to university, but who are unable to think. But why is teaching creative thinking so important? As you may have read, my job title is Director of Learning and Innovation, and part of my role is to ensure that the Wycombe Abbey curriculum reflects the needs of the 21st century. A key study which influences our thinking is the Oxford Martin Nestor study, which alongside problem solving, identified the famous 3 C's, critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration as being essential. It should go without saying that schools should take studies like this seriously, but many do not, and examination systems are often not keeping pace with the changing world. This brings me back to the point I made at the very beginning of the talk, where I said that it is vital to dispel the myth that when schools talk about enriching the curriculum, that this is some sort of luxury, and that it is really examinations that matter. A school that turns out book-smart pupils without genuine creativity is selling its pupils short, and they will find themselves without the adaptability necessary to survive in the modern world. You'll be glad to know that all these 21st century skills are taken seriously at Wycombe Abbey. But let us look a little more closely at what features you would expect to see at a top school. Top of the list is an innovative and aspirational curriculum. There is simply no substitute for inspirational teachers who are able to capture the very essence of the subject they teach. Top history teachers are not guided by what happens to be currently on the particular syllabus they are teaching, but by what it means to truly be a historian. They ask hard, thought-provoking questions and seek to produce original and critical thinkers. Oxford Martin Nestor mentioned creative subjects as those most likely to see growth in the 21st century. And I think many would be surprised to see the strength of creative disciplines like art, DT engineering, and creative computer science at a supposedly academic school like Wycombe Abbey. While traditional subjects remain important, we can see that making things, especially in digital and high-tech industries, is going to be increasingly important. This is often an easy sell to pupils. Think back to being a child and how much you enjoyed drawing, painting, acting, making music. Children love these life-enhancing pursuits. Picasso said that every child is a great artist, and there's a lot of truth in that. One of the hard questions for school is how to produce a curriculum which is suitably ambitious, but which does not produce unwelcome academic stress or pressure. At Wycombe, we have embraced the ideas of Mary Myatt, high challenge, low threat, which outlines how to create a culture where people, children or adult, are in a supportive environment where mistakes are tolerated. Interestingly, I think that it is Wycombe's outstanding pastoral support that enables pupils to flourish academically. Boarding provides a culture which can simultaneously offer an aspirational curriculum alongside bespoke personal intention to ensure that no pupils are left behind. I think that many schools, especially larger academic day schools, can have a more cutthroat environment. This either precludes setting truly challenging tasks, as there is little opportunity for the support that is required, or it means that academic aspirations come at the expense of good mental health. Oxford Martin Nestor mentioned collaboration alongside creativity and critical thinking as a core 21st century skill, and this is something which is hardwired into the boarding experience. There is sadly not time to go into a great deal of detail about some of the concrete ways that Wycombe Abbey enriches the curriculum. There is not time to describe the programme of critical thinking and problem solving, which starts on day 1 in Upper 3, and which culminates with the Carrington Award and university preparation in the 6th form. But in reality, it is not these special courses that really creates problem solving. Instead, it is the prevailing academic ethos and the level of challenge that is present in lessons day in, day out. If I went into any classroom at Wycombe Abbey, I would like to see pupils being challenged to think independently. I'm stealing the image here of a high jumper from Ian Warwick, who is one of the leading experts on educating more able pupils. He rightly points out that just like in the high jump, progress happens when pupils' work is close to the limit of their capabilities. However, note again, for this to be true, pupils need to be able to cope with perceived failure and setbacks. I think there is strong evidence that one of the things which can hold high-attaining pupils back is the fear of getting things wrong. I'm sure that this is the case for many of those Oxbridge applicants who froze on an unfamiliar problem. Let me finish with an image I'm particularly fond of. It illustrates the 5 academic qualities that the Wycombe Abbey curriculum promotes. risk-taking, resourcefulness, determination, reflection, and development. Hopefully, the importance of these qualities has already been explored within the talk. These 5 academic qualities were chosen as they point towards learning being a process of growth, where development comes out of the willingness to take academic risks. I think this poster also captures the loveliness of Wycombe Abbey, the sense of peace and serenity that is present in the physical environment. And I think it is important because that sense of space provides room for contemplation and reflection, which is so conducive to deep learning. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye.